to talk first about a recurring theme in the book, which is you talk a great deal about the role that chance and that serendipity played in your amazing success. And actually, the first question I have is something in the book that was not show business, but almost made the career not happen at all, which is, would you relate to everybody what happened when you were in the service in World War II and went up in that plane?
Oh, that's right, yeah. I had joined the Air Force in World War II, but it was toward the end of the war. And we were in pilot training, and they finally just canceled the whole program because the war was winding down. And so they called us all in and said, some of you will be going overseas as tail gunners on B-25s, and the rest of you will be assigned according to your abilities. Fear is a great motivator. That's how I got in show.
Just one other thing about that incident, which is when you actually got up in the plane and your co-pilot said to you, "I'm going to take a snooze."
Well, I'd never been off the ground in my life. We hadn't got to that part yet in the training. The captain was going back to Chanute Field in Illinois for the weekend, which is about 30 miles from my home, Danville, Illinois. And he gave me a 3-day pass. We took off in this twin-engine plane. And I'd never been off the ground, so I was nervous to start with. And he said, "I have a hangover, I'm going to go take a little nap." So I said, "This is the altimeter, and just keep it on this heading." And we flew over Illinois into Indiana. I screamed like a woman did. I didn't know what to expect. I thought I was going to die. And I thought, I'm never going to fly an airplane ever again. Oh, it was terrible. So I dropped out of the Air Force.
Well, you did survive that. You started your career on television hosting shows. And then the first thing I really want to talk about, because we're here in New York, is Bye Bye Birdie, a Tony Award-winning role. There are two things about Birdie I wanted to ask you about. The first is, throughout the book, you are so generous with your praise of your coworkers, and you write in the book, "I owe everything to Gower Champion." So I wanted you to talk about Gower a little bit. And the second question is, just to show people how much show business has changed, how you found out that you had won the Tony Award.
Oh, yeah. But the funny thing was, I had never thought about singing or dancing or acting. I thought I was going to be a television announcer. And I was doing a game show from the Latin Quarter at like noon called Mother's Day. We did diaper changing contests. And the show was bad, and I realized I had no future as a game show. So every day after the show, I would go out and audition for anything. I think everything but maybe ballet and opera. And I finally ended up in front of Gower Champion, who was casting Bye Bye Birdie. And I did a little bit of a soft shoe, and I sang a song, a Ray Bolger song from, Where's Charlie? Once in Love with Amy. You old enough to remember that? Once in Love with Amy. I sang that song and did a little soft shoe, and he walked up on the stage, he said, "You got the part." Like in the movies. I couldn't believe it, and I said, "Mr. Champion, I can't dance. I don't know how." He said, "We'll show you what you need to know." And he did. And I discovered dancing. I was 30, 31 years old and had never danced. And it was like flying. I thought, where has this been all my life? And what was the question?
That was the first question about Gower Champion, because you give him such credit. And the second question is about, I was really struck in the book with how you found out that you had won the Tony Award.
Oh, well, I had, that was when we started the Dick Van Dyke Show. And I got that because Carl Reiner saw me in Bye Bye Birdie. Talk about, just luck, being in the right place at the right time. But in those days, the Tony Awards were just a banquet at the Waldorf. They didn't even broadcast it. It was quite a quiet little affair. So they sent me a Western Union, And the guy stuck it into the welcome mat in the front door. It was 3 days before he even found it. And then I come back and yay. But I prized that token.
And well deserved it was. So Carl Reiner, with the Dick Van Dyke Show, you repeatedly in the book give him such credit for the success of the show.
The man's a genius.
And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about why you feel his writing, why the humor has not dated at all.
Well, for one thing, Carl insisted you don't mention any current events, no slang of the day, no catchphrases, and he was absolutely right. Even the poser, I just don't have almost. But he was able to write the dialogue. He's caught everybody's cadence and nuance and the way they spoke. Nobody had to act. He just wrote. All you had to do was say the lines. The most brilliant man I've ever met, and the nicest human being I've ever known.
That's a rare review from Carl Reiner. And the show, you write in the book, it's so interesting that at first it was questionable whether it would keep on the air or not.
Yeah.
And it was Carl Reiner who, I guess in effect, it was a rule. He said, we'll do 5 seasons and that's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was it. I'd still be doing it today.
Were you, did you want it to go on, or did you have a sense of, no, we want to leave at the top of our
No,
game?
nobody wanted to leave. Right. It was like going to a party every day. It was the most fun I've ever had. It just wasn't work at all.
Right.
You know, some people don't know that Carl shot the pilot with himself as Rob Petrie. The network didn't like him. My biggest break, yeah.
There was one other question I wanted to ask about that, which is about, your chemistry with Mary Tyler Moore was so remarkable, and I know so many people thought you were very best-doing as well.
I was showing someone with my wife, and they go, look there.
And you said something, it was just a little anecdote in the book that I thought was kind of charming, which was, you said, well, after a while you developed a bit of a crush on Mary, and how that crush manifested itself on the set.
Well, I think what happened was about the second season we found ourselves giggling all the time during rehearsal. And I had a friend who was a psychologist. He said, you have a crush on each other. I said, of course. But the funny thing in the beginning, when we read Mary for the part, right, I said, gosh, she's beautiful and she's a good actress, but can she be funny? Last time anybody ever asked that.
Yeah. I think that's been answered over the years. And when you, also in the 60s, you had the huge success with the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then, of course, the classic film Mary Poppins, that we still are. And I was, again, I was so interested in you give such credit to so many people, and what really caught my eye in the book, and I just want to read it, about Mary Poppins, you give so much credit to the Sherman brothers who wrote the music, and you said, the music opened the door to something deep and lasting in our soul.
Yeah, Walt's favorite song, of course, was Feed the Birds. And there was something about that song, and it had magic in it. To this day, I love that song. I thought that Walt asked me to do the part because of my ability. He had seen a statement I made in an interview somewhere about the lack of good family entertainment. And that's what we got the part.
Oh, so that's what he got on to, huh?
I thought I was my dancer. I went to Walt and I said, I would love to do that old banker. I'll do it for nothing if you let me do it.
Right.
So I did have to make up and do a screen test for him and everything. But being the old horse trader he was, he had opened an art school called Cal Arts. I had to give $4,000 donation to that thing. And I paid to do the part.
So you lost money by doing it.
But I do it again.
And you write in